Hey guys, do you want to know about top 10 haunted places in the world? Well, in this video, we're going to talk about top 10 haunted places in the world. Welcome to Epic Top 10 YouTube channel. Before we get started, please make sure you watch the video until the end, so you can find which are 10 haunted places in the world, and also subscribe with the notification bell turned on so you can get notified anytime we upload a new video. Nothing beats a good ghost story on Halloween, and our planet is chock full of them. UFO sightings in Transylvania, murders on luxury cruise ships, and spirits wandering the halls of British castles. No matter where you're traveling, you're sure to find some sort of haunted site, as well as a ghost tour to go along with it. But even if you're not a fan of paranormal activities, some of the spookiest locations are still worth your time, whether for their beautiful architecture, jaw-dropping locations, or fascinating histories. Here, the 10 most haunted places in the world you'll want to visit any day of the year. Number 10. Hoia-Baciu Forest, Romania. From the moment a military technician captured a photograph of a UFO hovering over the forest in 1968, Hoia-Baciu has gained paranormal notoriety around the world, with some believing it to be a portal that causes visitors to disappear. Those who have passed through the forest without being zapped into another realm have reported rashes, nausea, and feelings of anxiety, according to The Independent. Known as the Bermuda Triangle of Transylvania, the spooky curved trees that populate the forest just add to the eerie atmosphere. Number 9. Fairmont Banff Springs Hotel, Canada. Built in 1888 to encourage tourism and sell train tickets, this chateau-style hotel sits pretty by the Rocky Mountains in Banff National Park. But it gets a tad more gothic once you get inside, and we aren't talking about the architecture. The Calgary Herald has reported several resident ghosts, including a bride who supposedly fell down the stone staircase during her wedding. But there's a less tragic spirit, too. Sam the bellman, who worked at the hotel until 1975 and claimed he'd come back to haunt the joint. His spirit supposedly pulls shifts helping people with their bags before disappearing. Number 8. Eastern State Penitentiary, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The castle-like Eastern State Penitentiary took solitary confinement to new levels when it was built in 1829. Prisoners lived alone, exercised alone, and ate alone. When an inmate left his cell, a guard would cover his head with a hood so he couldn't see or be seen. The prison had to abandon its solitary system due to overcrowding in 1913, although the forms of punishment did not get any less severe, chaining an inmate's tongue to his wrists as one example, before it closed for good in 1970. The site now welcomes thousands of visitors every year, both for its museum and Halloween celebrations. Reported paranormal happenings have included disembodied laughter, shadowy figures, and pacing footsteps. Number 7. Bangalore Fort, India. Located just 100 miles southwest of Delhi, the lush ruins of Bangalore Fort make for a curious juxtaposition against the desert landscape of Rajasthan. To this day, the oasis remains largely uninhabited due to an alleged curse cast by a disgruntled sorcerer after his advances were rebuffed by a local princess. If you prefer your trips to skew more spiritual than haunted, Traveler's former editor-at-large Hania Yanagihara suggests saluting the sun during a session of pre-dusk yoga at the site. Number 6. Château de Brissac, Brissac-Quincé, France. One of the tallest castles in all of France, the 7-story Château de Brissac is perhaps best known as the home of the Green Lady, aka the ghost of Charlotte of France. The château's website tells the legend of Charlotte, the illegitimate daughter of King Charles VII, who was murdered by her husband after he discovered her having an affair. Named for the color of her dress when she was killed, the Green Lady can be found roaming the chapel's tower room and moaning in the early hours of morning. Number 5. Stanley Hotel, Estes Park, CO. The Stanley Hotel's stately Georgian architecture and world-renowned whiskey bar have lured travelers to Estes Park since opening in 1909, but the hotel reached new levels of fame after inspiring Stephen King to create the Shining's fictional Overlook Hotel. That eerie association aside, many other ghost sightings and some mysterious piano music have been connected to the hotel, and the Stanley Hotel leans into its reputation with nightly ghost tours and psychic consultations from the in-house Madame Vera. Number 4. La Recoleta Cemetery, Buenos Aires, Argentina. You don't have to be religious to be moved by La Recoleta Cemetery, which features thousands of statues, mausoleums, fairy tale grottos, and intricate tombstones, as well as the remains of Argentina's most iconic figure, Eva Perón. The stone walkways and labyrinth of mausoleums are as beautiful as they are eerie, and Recoleta has a couple haunted legends of its own. One of the most famous stories involves David Aleno, a former gravedigger and caretaker who worked at the cemetery for 30 years before killing himself. Today, people report hearing Aleno's keys jangling as his ghost walks the pathways at dawn. Number 3. Tower of London, England. Built by William the Conqueror in 1066, this uncompromising fortress has had many functions. But it's best known for its bloody history as a prison and execution site. Henry VIII famously ordered the execution of two of his wives, Anne Boleyn and Catherine Howard, here. It's also where two young princes were imprisoned after the death of their father, King Edward IV. They disappeared shortly after in 1483, and their remains weren't found until 1647. Unsurprisingly, ghost stories of the tower's victims, and ghost tours through historic royal palaces, abound. Number 2. St. Augustine Lighthouse, FL. The St. Augustine Lighthouse is visited by nearly 225,000 people annually, but it's just as well known for its otherworldly visitors. Several tragic events that occurred at the now historic site have contributed to the alleged paranormal activity. The ghost of a lighthouse keeper who fell to his death while painting the tower has been spotted watching over the grounds. And ever since the horrific death of 3 young girls, who drowned when the cart they were playing in broke and fell into the ocean, visitors have claimed to hear the sounds of children playing in and around the lighthouse. Number 1. Whaley House, San Diego, California. Thomas Whaley built this family estate in 1857, on the former site of San Diego's first public gallows. Shortly after he moved in, he reported hearing the heavy footsteps of Yankee Jim Robinson, a drifter and thief who was hanged on the site 4 years before the house was built. Whaley's family history ended up being filled with tragic deaths and suicides, many of which occurred inside the home itself. According to the Whaley House Museum, some of the family members still haunt the landmark, often accompanied by cigar smoke and the smell of heavy perfume. Make sure you stay watching our next related video to discover more epic top 10 videos. If you have any comments, please leave them in the comments box below. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.